Alright, it's that time again where we're going to do a low light test. So right now it's about, it's about 4 p.m. in the afternoon here where I live. And the sun is going to set pretty soon. I've got like squirrels over here. Alright, so there's always wildlife in my videos. Anyways, we're going to do a low light test with the Autel Evo compared to the Mavic 2 Pro. So Mavic 2 Pro has a really awesome low light camera, but the Autel Evo has a really awesome daytime camera. But how does the Autel Evo work in low light compared to the Mavic 2 Pro? Well, we're going to find out. So behind me right over here, I've got the, I got the Autel Evo and the Mavic 2 Pro, and they're sitting on a little step ladder on a piece of wood, and I'm going to put them on a table so they're way up in the air, and they're going to look over across the street as the light goes down. Here we go. Here we have a late fall afternoon image taken by the Mavic 2 Pro. I have the camera set to wide field of view, and at the bottom you can see the camera settings. It looks quite good. The exposure is pretty decent. Nice fall afternoon shot. Let's switch to the Autel Evo. Wow, that's a wider field of view than the Mavic 2 Pro, but still the image looks quite good. A little bit overexposed, more so on the left, but all in all a good image. Now let's compare both images together. You'd almost think that they're almost taken by the same camera. They're not that bad. And if you look in the green below, that's the only differences in the camera settings. And if I zoom into that house on the right, here it is. It still looks quite good. Now, this is 100% zoom, so I can't zoom in more on the Autel Evo, but this is what you get. And if you look at the image of the Autel Evo on the right-hand side of your screen, it does look like it's moving side to side. That's the actual gimbal moving, and when you're zoomed in, well, you can see it even more. But I don't know why it was doing that. Maybe it was just a glitch. I did have the latest firmware. And now let's do a photo comparison between both drones. Here's the Mavic 2 Pro. Excellent image, very well exposed. Look at the camera settings, really nice. Now let's check out the Autel Evo. Wow, that's a nice image too. It's a wider field of view, so the white balance, even though it's the same, has a little bit more of a warm tinge because you see more of the image. And side by side, you can see here, they look very similar. Both very nice images. All right, hey, let's see, focus on me, there we go. All right, so now it is, it's just after 5 p.m. and sunset here is at 6 p.m. So now the sun is going down at long shadows. Let's see how the cameras are doing. All right, it's really difficult for me to pick a winner with the Mavic 2 Pro and the Autel Evo so far. This is the Mavic 2 Pro. Look at this video image. It is awesome. It's outstanding. Now check out the Autel Evo. Well, I hate to say it, but the Autel Evo looks pretty awesome and outstanding as well. Look at that. It's a wider field of view, but the image looks really good. Certainly in the Mavic 2 Pro, you can see more detail in the darker areas. When we compare the images side by side, you will notice like the leaves on the ground and the fence. The fence is brighter, the leaves are brighter, the grass across the street is brighter, which means that details in the shadows start to stand out more. It looks pretty good. Let's take a look at that house on the right. We'll zoom in at 100% and let's check out what it looks like. Both images are really good. I will say I like the image of the Autel Evo because it makes the sky a little bit more blue. Even though the white balance is the same, everything looks really good. But all in all, I really can't pick a winner between the two. Now, I don't think we'll be able to pick a winner in the photo comparison either. This is the Mavic 2 Pro. Now remember, as the light gets lower, the Mavic 2 Pro picks up all the detail in the shadows and the highlights. Here's the Autel Evo. Notice how it's darker. Well, it is a wider field of view, but look at that. The sky looks pretty cool. It looks gradient going up to blue. So here they are side by side. Some people are going to prefer the lighter colors of the Mavic 2 Pro, and some are going to prefer the contrast of the Evo. Alright, so it's 6 p.m. right now, and the sun has gone below the horizon back there. That's all that's left of it. And basically it's, there's some light out as the sun's gone down, but it's kind of dark. And we'll see how the actual drones handle this type of light. Here we go. Now this is where the Mavic 2 Pro should begin to outshine the Autel Evo because the Mavic 2 Pro has a larger sensor than that of the Evo. So take a look at the camera settings. The ISO is at 700. Now remember that, because when you see the EVO, it's going to be much higher. So an ISO of 700 means that there's a bit of noise. And when you look at the EVO, this is an ISO of 1600, and that means there's even more noise in the image. It means it really has to cause the sensitivity to increase to get the lighting, proper lighting for the image. So the two images side by side, as you see here, they don't look half bad. The image of the EVO would contain more noise, but all in all, for a video, it looks pretty good. So, you know, once again, I would be happy with either of these images. And let's take a look at that house on the right. We're going to zoom into it right now. And even zoomed in, you should see more noise from the EVO on the right. But if you look closely at your screen, you can see there's really not a lot of noise. And the image looks okay. So once again, both images are quite acceptable. Again, in this photo comparison, it's going to be difficult to pick a winner. The Mavic 2 Pro took an excellent image, and look at the camera settings. Now check out the image from the Autel EVO and check out the camera settings. You know, they're almost 100% identical. When I put the images side by side, you'll also see the differences in camera settings, which will be the only portion that's in green, which is the shutter speed. Both are great images. Alright, it's dark out, it's nighttime, and as you can see the street lights are on, spooky up there. So now I'm going to pan around so you can see the drones. There they are behind me. That flickering light is from the Autel EVO. I'm not sure. On the infrared it does this weird flickering thing, so I'll just put my head over it so it doesn't kill the camera. But so now I'm going to see how well the Autel EVO and the Mavic 2 Pro function in the darkness. So they'll be filming exactly the same scene, and we'll see how it looks. So I'm going to let you look at that for a while, and then during the video I'm actually going to walk in front of the cameras with lume cubes and light up the areas so they'll see brightness and then darkness. So let's check that out. Here we have the Mavic 2 Pro image in the darkness. The ISO is set at 6400, and with the larger sensor, well, if you look closely at the image, look at the sky. Do you see a lot of dots bouncing around? You should see less noise than in the Autel EVO image, so let's jump to that. Certainly there's noise in the image, but not as much as I thought. And look at the ISO, it only goes up to 3200 vice the Mavic 2, which goes up to 6400. Let's put the images side by side. There you go. You can see the Mavic 2 Pro image is brighter overall, but it has a higher ISO. And let's zoom in and check that noise. Check the sky on both of them. Check the garage door. Do you see a lot of noise dancing around? Yeah, so I'm not a fan of either image, but if I had to pick one, obviously it would be the Mavic 2 Pro. Now let's bring out my lume cube cameras. This is where we get the dynamic range of the image because we have darkness and brightness together. So you have the Mavic 2 Pro on the left and the Autel EVO on the right. You can see the camera settings below, which were the same as in the previous video. Here I am zoomed into the image. And I'm going to zoom back out. You know, both images with a light source actually look quite good. So just like in almost every drone camera, you really need an external light source if you're going to film in the darkness. And now a photo comparison. This one was actually strange. Check out the Mavic 2 Pro image. This is a fantastic darkness image. It doesn't even look like it's nighttime, but it's very detailed. Now, here's the image from the Autel EVO. But look what happened. The ISO only went to 1600, not 3200. I don't know what happened there. So I put the cameras side by side. These are the two images. This is what you get. So what I did is I took another picture with the EVO and I forced it to go to ISO 3200. Look what happened. It left the shutter open for 1 second in order to get enough light onto the tiny sensor. And what that did was added a bit more noise. Look at the top right of the image on the right hand side of the Autel EVO. A little bit more noise than that of the Mavic 2 Pro, but overall, not too bad. Final thoughts. Yes, my final thought is the same as your final thought, which is the Autel EVO. Wow, that did amazing. I bet you a lot of you did not think the Autel EVO would do as well as it did. Well, it did do quite well, and it deserves it because it's a pretty good camera on the Autel EVO. Now, just to let you know, because when I did my last low light video, there was a lot of confusion. I had a lot of people writing that I was using auto settings. I don't use auto settings, and if you look at the image, you can tell they're manual settings. So let me explain. So here I have the Autel EVO, and here I have the Mavic 2 Pro. Mavic 2 Pro is designed for low light because it has a huge sensor. Autel Evo, not so much. It's for bright daylight. So that means when I was filming video with the Mavic 2 Pro, I looked at what the ISO is set at, and most times it was 100 because it doesn't really creep up unless it gets really dark. And then I look over at the Autel Evo, and the Autel Evo might be at 200 or 300. So what I did is I pulled down the ISO on the actual Autel Evo to match that of the Mavic 2 Pro. Now, the same thing. The Mavic 2 Pro has an aperture on it that is variable. It goes all over the place. So the Mavic 2 Pro, when there was plenty of light out, you know, it might want to be smaller. It might want to be an aperture of f4. Autel Evo, it's a fixed aperture. It's always going to be at 2.8. So I had to take the aperture of the Mavic 2 Pro and bring it all the way to 2.8 so that it's wide open like the aperture on the Autel Evo. So then we get to the white balance. The Autel Evo has a tendency to make a cooler image, not as warm as that of the Mavic 2 Pro. So if you're not a photographer and you're not very educated in photography, you'd look at two images and you go, ooh, this one looks pleasing and this one looks less pleasing. But you wouldn't know why. And it's basically because of the white balance. One is cooler, one is warmer. So I would match the white balance of the Autel Evo, bring it down to match that of the Mavic 2 Pro. So that's how the settings were done in this here comparison video. Now I can't match the shutter because if you have a different camera, you're gonna have a different lens, you probably have a different sensor. That means light's coming in at a different way than it is on the other drone or the other camera. And if you try to match them, one's gonna look really good and one's not gonna look so good. And you're purposely making one not look good by doing that. So I don't do that sort of thing. So what you get in this comparison is a really good representation of what these drones can do. So with all of that said, leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought about this comparison. I'm sure a lot of you own the Mavic 2 Pro. A lot more of you own the Mavic 2 Pro than the Autel Evo, because the Autel Evo, still Autel only sells it in the States, which is kind of silly because it should be a worldwide drone by now, but no, so not too many people own the Autel Evo. But a lot of people own the Mavic 2 Pro or the Mavic 2 Zoom. Now in a future video, I'll do another low light comparison between two drones, but I'm gonna let you guys pick which drones you want me to do the low light comparison between. Do you want the Parrot Anafi compared to the Evo? Do you want the Parrot Anafi compared to the Mavic 2 Pro? Do you want the Evo compared to the Spark or to the Mavic Air? You pick the two drones and let me know, and the most popular comments with the most requested drones to compare is what I'll do in the next low light comparison video. All right, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll catch you in the next video.